Chapter 103 of the Dragon Ball Super manga might be the last portion of Super where Toyotaro was able to consult with his master, Akira Toriyama. It was never planned to be like this though, but in a way, it was kind of poetic, especially the ending, which, despite one rather glaring caveat, that's the pan joke by the way, which was completely unnecessary, does leave us with a certain feeling of finality, a conclusion, closure. It's shameless fan service in a lot of ways, but right now, it doesn't matter. We'll take it. This is especially true, given that many of those moments are parts we have been eagerly anticipating for years. It's the story of a friendly sparring, which turns into an all-round battle royale between all the surviving Saiyans. It addresses a lot of things that have been discussed within the fandom for many a moon, and yet it's very casual about it all. It's a bit somber when we look at it in the unintended context of recent events, but still, it's good fan service, a good example. You know, it's actually kind of funny. We do keep on getting angry at Gohan retreading old paths and him getting the beast form in an undeserved but if this chapter won't sell it to you, nothing will sort of thing. We see the son of Goku being able to channel his fury and control it, being cerebral about it. There is a lot of excitement related to the fact that the fight is not over after Ultra Instinct dodges kick in. Essentially, Gohan reaches his tipping point and concentrates it into a single direct attack, which not only circumvents the legendary might that is Ultra Instinct, the true version might, but it also catches Goku in general off guard. There is some irony to be said about the younger of the combatants taking it slow, but it seems that the apple doesn't fall far if you shake the tree hard enough. Beerus seems to be kind of annoyed by the fact that this isn't considered to be a divine-based power, and so are we, man, so are we. It did fit perfectly with our divine triad theory though, but alas, coming from the human nature of Gohan, it also makes sense, I guess. In a way, it's even more impressive. Also, we don't really feel like it sours this encounter between father and son at all. In fact, we don't get a straight answer as to which one of them is the more powerful, though it is implied that Gohan's actual power might have finally caught up with its true potential. Finally, after all this time, Gohan has reached his full potential, something that makes Goku genuinely proud, which he is not ashamed to admit. It's nice to see it. It's also nice to see Broly finding inspiration in this new acquaintance, them finally meeting. We wanted this for many years. We knew that it would work well for the Berserker, and wouldn't you know it, it made him all the more eager to train with the Half Saiyan. Someone who was able to overcome his anger and control it, and really build something out of it. Now all he's got to do is befriend Kale, and he'll be on his way to becoming his own person. Oh, by the way, Beerus and Whis finally addressed this ongoing fan theory about Broly's potential candidature for the position of God of Destruction. And let's just say he's currently not considered, though I wouldn't pull this one out of the plug just yet, you could say. He might seem straight-laced to the cat himself, but who knows? Things might change. Now, speaking of Beerus, he does seem a little bit melancholic. He seems to be disinterested in anything that is going on, but at the same time, he does watch the whole thing very closely. He seems tired, bored. Maybe it's a hint that he wants to retire faster than we thought. Another thing is how happy and excited Vegeta is about Broly's development. Once again, in his own special way, the fighting therapist is happy to see his patients progress. Well, that was it, and he was itching to test Gohan Beast's might for himself. The sheer spontaneity of the training session near the end of the chapter is fun. You can really see all of them enjoying the experience and being comfortable with all of it, something that only Saiyans and Half Saiyans would understand. This might be one of the most power-intense fights in the entire franchise, but at the same time, the stakes are incredibly low. But this time, it doesn't matter. In fact, it's quite refreshing and relaxing to see Broly, Gohan, Goten and Trunks here with Vegeta and Goku, just having a friendly duel and a good meal afterwards. All the food is of course provided by good old Lemo, who seems to be really enjoying the role of being the divine cook, whilst Chilai feels just a tad bit bored with all of this fighting going on, and it's hard to blame her actually. Dragon Ball has been the Goku and Vegeta show for a very long time, but the story acknowledging at least different Saiyans is a move in the right direction. Goten and Trunks don't really have a massive role in this chapter, but that's okay. They are allowed to stand hand in hand with the likes of Broly and Gohan, and they don't get completely destroyed. They are part of the team, and honestly, this is something that we've really wanted to see them do for years. They are now not just the kids where they go, "Goten, Trunks, get away from here, you're too weak." Now they can be part of the posse. And surprisingly, a moment of levity comes from a certain duo that is no longer interested in world domination. I suppose seeing all those powerful monkey men just does that to you, right? It's honestly quite hilarious to see that this whole thing made Carmine and Number 15 change their ways fully and decide to fully devote themselves to actual pharmaceuticals. I do wonder if they'll pop up again or not though. And will their company be beneficial to the world? They might be part of the good guys. After all, Kami is still very goal-orientated and interested in his own success. Or will this just be a temporary thing? They'll get back to their old tricks selling their inferior version of anamorphanine. If you're not quite sure what that is, go and play the Kakarot game. Apparently, the effects started to wear off lately, but if we see a re-emergence of animal-type Earthlings, we will know who's responsible for that. Finally, it's good to see Piccolo, who had to remind Goku about a very important fact, and we will never not be salty about it. And yes, of course, we get a pretty sweet scene with Pan. We can see how much this little one adores her grandpa, and frankly, this makes the joke sting even more. I understand that we're trying to show Goku as a simple and often absent-minded being, but this, well, I agree with Vegeta, this is an utter disgrace actually. It kind of ruins the whole thing. And you might want to sort of defend it, that being so long in the realms of the gods and powerful beings disassociates our hero from the simplicity of everyday life. That this is something that would prompt his end of Z staying longer with his family thing. That there is some psychological depth to it. Unfortunately, this is Dragon Ball. This plays out more like a silly, twisted joke, and a huge miss in our opinion. But still, I'm glad that we keep seeing Piccolo as an important foundation for their family. Again, jokes about being Gohan's dad aside, if we had godfathers in the Dragon world, that's what he is. And one is doing a pretty darn good job, to be honest. He's no longer a friend. He belongs with them. Both the movie and this chapter have solidified him as such, and quite frankly, I think this character needed that kind of clarity. In the end, we see Goku and Pan racing and getting a head start ahead of Gohan. Then Piccolo waves to Janet, but we know that he's really looking at us, the readers. Toriyama's alleged favourite character saying goodbye to us, just like Goku did those many times. It does seem like the end of an era. Like another Peaceful World saga, another end of Z. Of course, we do know that it won't last for long, this gap. We know what will happen very soon. But as far as goodbyes go, this one's not so bad. After this, the Dragon Ball Super manga is going to go on for a break, but we don't know for how long. Honestly, that's probably for the best. Whatever you think about the likes of Toyotaro, we are pretty sure that the passing of his mentor has touched him deeply, and forcing him or his editors to work through it all would be rather cruel. We don't know what will happen next or who will end up having control over the manga, whether or not Toyotaro gets to rule the roost. Now, some sites do claim that this might be the very last chapter of the story, which is a possibility, but we think that is not quite the case. Toriyama gave his life to the franchise, the world, the characters, but for many years, Dragon Ball existed beyond his vision. Some of those stories were better than others, but we do feel that it's too big of a franchise to just end right now. It is understandably taking a break, so the creatives and the execs need to think about where to take the franchise next. For now, they've got it covered with the likes of Daima, which to our understanding won't be a very long opus. There is Sandland, for example, that's going to have about 12 episodes. I would expect something along those lines, so maybe closer to 12, 16? Give us a few months. We still have 2 sagas left of Super. Yes, they were created by Toyotaro, but Toriyama's involvement in them was rather active, even if it was just in terms of corrections. Right now, the new author is in a very delicate, difficult situation, and we wish him the best of luck. Right now, all the pressure might be on him, and he will have to be able to decide whether or not something that he created is good enough or not. Also, something that he has to take from Toriyama's legacy is his master's lightheartedness, finding comedy even the darkest of times, even if sometimes it was detrimental to the mood. Those moments of odd respite were so unmistakably Toriyama. Even if we don't like them, we could imagine the man just laughing in those silly brackets as, from what we know, he didn't attempt to be too serious about how he displayed the world of Dragon Ball. It was flowing, and we wish Toyotaro the best. In the months leading to Toriyama's passing, we took a journey through his interviews and discussions about the Super manga. We were able to get into this man's artistic process just that little bit more. In fact, he was willing to let the readers in. Now, he will have very big shoes to fill, Toyotaro. He will never be Toriyama. Only Akira Toriyama could have been Akira Toriyama. But at the same time, we wish him the best of luck, you know. The fandom tends to be quite harsh on him. Not entirely undeserving, mind you, but I believe that, especially now, I think we should be slightly more understanding about his lot. The grace period cannot be eternal, of course. We all have to move on. But I believe he can come up with something good. And it's clear that he loved what he did, and that it was the fulfillment of his dreams. He does love the franchise, but after all is said and done, he is but one of many cogs in the machine called modern Dragon Ball. I hope he won't give up. I hope people in power will give him a chance, and maybe acknowledge him as an artist of his own, not just a student. He'll have to outgrow that mindset as well, and that's never easy. But we'll try to be optimistic, you know. After all, Toriyama enjoyed a lot of his work and had trust in him. We should too. I know that the latest discussions are a little bit more rambly than usual, less peppy, but as you could probably imagine, it's not easy to write these scripts lately. We wanted stuff to happen, and yet too much stuff has happened. It's hard to talk about the situation because this wound is relatively fresh and will be fresh for quite some time. Not only that, but we do not want these videos to feel exploitative of the people involved. You know, it's hard not to talk about this after seeing this chapter. In all reality, if you had told us that chapter 103 would end Super, we probably would have believed you. Our heroes happily return, filled with hope, with villains throwing their evil ways aside. Piccolo smiled at us, as if he thanked the readers for the time that we'd spent with him. It feels even more painful, though, that the last year of the manga, if this is the end, was just a retelling of a movie that we'd already seen. But still, the epilogue itself, which also works with the movie, is excellent. 3 short chapters, filling us with joy. Just like all those years ago, when we first saw or read the Peaceful World saga. This chapter, as I doubt it went into production with Toyotaro knowing that this was going to be the last thing that he worked on under the tutelage of his master. The final all-out brawl between the Saiyans that we all asked for, Broly controlling his transformation, the iconic tree on Beerus' planet falling over, the ending itself. It really does feel like a finished product, you know? And maybe, just maybe, whatever comes next, will it be something really new? Maybe after 103 chapters, a new rebrand might come around. Who knows? Maybe it's a good time to start again. For now, we still have 2 massive things on the horizon this year. Sparking Zero, which has recently revealed the involvement of the likes of Kakunsa, Toppo, and Dispo. This gives other fighters from different universes a very good chance for some spotlight. It pleases us, you know, that we're big advocates for their involvement. And the other one is, of course, Daima. If you were on the fence about it, just please give it a chance. This is likely the final story in which Toriyama played such a significant role. Also, please don't sleep on Sandland. It's Toriyama's favourite little thing that he ever worked on. We really would love to talk more about the subject and honour the author of not just Dragon Ball. So yes, it's a sad year for us, the fans, but it's also a bountiful year, and the best way to honour the memory of Toriyama is to keep interacting with his creations and legacy. We hope to see you again in another manga-related video. Catch you later.